Welcome,
Yes.
everyone. My name is Alyosha Rudas. I'm a program manager at ISSA, and I'm very happy that together today with my colleague Aicha, we will be hosting this workshop for which we said we want to make it a cozy learning and sharing environment so that we can each learn from each other and discuss around the important topic of the future pathways for playful parenting. So we have amazing speakers and contributors today with us that will guide us through the day. And just to acknowledge that this workshop wouldn't be possible without the amazing support from UNICEF and Lego Foundation, with whom we are together under the initiative of scaling up for playful parenting since 2019. So this month we are celebrating the 5th year of implementing this initiative at the global level. And we are very proud as a regional network for Europe and Central Asia to be part of it, especially focusing and highlighting the lessons learned from our peers from Serbia, which they will be talking more later. So Aicha, now I'll give a floor to you to introduce yourself.
Yes, very quickly. Hello, everyone. It's great to see all of you here. We feel very lucky with this community here. I'm Aisha. I'm a junior program manager at ISSA. As Alyosha said, it has been a long path to reach the 5th year, and it is the reason why we're here also to really look forward to future. And we want this gathering today to be as exchangeable as possible, sharing knowledge and creating future pathways as a community, and to really see and explore what we can do for the future of playful parenting, but what we can do for early childhood together. I'm wishing all of us a good session. And please, Alyosha, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So we will be now going to the agenda just to quickly guide you through the content we prepared today for you. So at the beginning, and this is what we are doing now, we have the welcome and introduction. We also prepared some exercise for all of us. Then we'll be talking and exploring with Jill Pop, from senior research specialist from Lego Foundation, about why playful parenting. Then we have with us Associate Director Irina Dia from UNICEF HQ that will talk about the playful parenting programming. Then we'll be diving in together with Sonja Vujin from the Standing Conference of Towns and Municipalities in Serbia about the implementation, about the Serbian implementation of playful parenting, showing us some outcomes and learnings. And then we'll have a brief interactive sessions, and then some technical magic will happen. You will all have to choose one of the 3 thematic groups we prepared today for you. So we will have the thematic group of playful parenting implementation research, then men and playful parenting, and supporting professionals. We will have half an hour in the small groups. Then we will come back into the main session where we'll try to encircle the future pathways, all what we discussed in the small groups. And then we will convene a closing panel with all our presenters and also some invited speakers that will be reflecting on the entire workshop and discussions. So I'll give more details later about the thematic small groups, also present the presenters and more detailed the topics. So now, I think, Aicha, we are ready to do the little exercise.
Yes, I was thinking, let's go to the whiteboard, right?
Okay,
You can use the whiteboard.
so
We
here
prepared
is
for
the
you a
whiteboard.
little exercise to start our engines.
So, and then now the question would be,
Please write a word, or you can use sticky notes or the text box to answer playful parenting is ... But please come up with one word. Okay, we can do 2 words, but not more than that.
But you can also draw.
Yeah, you can also draw. Playful parenting is ...
It's powerful. It's fun.
Um,
Great.
wow, a lot of entries are
Connecting.
coming. We have still some newcomers. Let me repeat what we're doing now. We are answering the question of playful parenting is ... In one word, what do you think it is? Please feel free to join. Unstressful, share joy, joker, stimulating, can be very challenging, interesting points. I hope we will be talking about all of those challenges as well together. Unity, child-led, innovative, I see collaboration, I suppose, joyful. I see many joys. Fun, curiosity. Oh yes, there's a nice touch, risky, spontaneous, responsive. Yes, very nice. Collaborative, yes. Thank you, Hadley. Let's give 1 more minute.
Yeah, you can also use the chat
Yes, I see
function
some
if that's
people.
more convenient for you. So we will be monitoring both. And also throughout the session, feel free to use the chat if you have any reflections or you would like to share with all of us your thoughts, insights.
Yeah. I also see explorative. Yes. Stimulating. Messy, developmental, challenging, game changer. Yeah, game changer. Physical. I see a lot of perspectives are coming in. Way to connect, challenging. Am I missing any? Emotional. Love. Yes. It's great
Great.
to
So
see all
yeah,
these perspectives. Yes, Alyosha, please go
teasing. Yeah, also we have teasing now. Okay. Well,
on.
very nice perspective. Nice to see. Wonderful way to start our workshop. So on that note, those of you who are still finishing your final thoughts on this whiteboard, so I would now like to invite Jill Pop, a senior researcher from Lego Foundation, to talk a bit more why playful parenting. So now we framed it. What do we mean by playful parenting? But now let's see why playful parenting. And we'll be diving more into the significance of playful parenting and its impact on child development. And of course, the outstanding support of Lego Foundation and their commitment in supporting playful parenting. So Jill, welcome.
Thank you, and welcome everyone. Thank you for the invitation to talk briefly about our work and of course the importance of playful parenting. I'm Jill Pop from the Lego Foundation. We think that playful parenting is an approach that emphasizes the importance of play in fostering strong, healthy bonds between parents and children. Through playful interactions, I'm sure you all know, children develop critical cognitive, emotional, and social skills that can last them throughout a lifetime, while parents also strengthen their connection with their children and possibly reduce stress. This approach encourages creativity, communication, and problem solving in a fun and engaging way, allowing children to explore their world, build relationships that are safe and supportive. Relationships with caregivers make a difference in the early years. I know that everyone on this call knows that. That's why the LEGO Foundation has invested in evidence-based parenting programs. I can't believe that it's been year 5 already. It seems to have flown by. We believe that parents and caregivers are a key part of our strategy and our theory of change. It's why we promote policies and practices that help create time and space for caregivers to play with their children. At the LEGO Foundation, we've invested around 100 million USD to date in parenting programs, which includes our Build World of Play Challenge in 2022. This funding has helped raise parenting up the policy agenda and has enabled millions more in funding from other philanthropic organizations. Playful and responsive parenting and caregiving and prevention of adverse events is essential for lifelong physical and mental health, learning and employability, and prevention of violence and crime well into adulthood. These cost savings are estimated to be around 1.3 trillion annually in North America and Europe alone. So the investment matters, and we hope in the next year to really amplify our efforts for playful parenting. I look forward to the small discussions today to talk more about the work that this community is doing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jill. It was really nice to hear that the investment matters, and we cannot agree more on that, since we all as a community believe in the power of play, the transformative power that play can actually have in all the domains of our life in a society. So, and now, not to be too long, I will just pass the floor to UNICEF's ECD Associate Director, Irina Dia, and let's hear from her about the overview from the UNICEF headquarters on playful parenting programming that we will be talking more today. So, Irina, welcome.
Thank you, Ayusha. It's a pleasure to be here today. I'm Irina Dia, as you already said. I'm the Global Lead for Early Childhood Development in UNICEF. And it's really a pleasure to be here to open this thematic workshop. I already had prior engagement, but I felt it was important for me to be here and at least give you my blessings because of everything that we've been able to achieve through this program. And before going further, I would really like to acknowledge the extreme importance of this partnership with the LEGO Foundation, with the regional networks to facilitate the scale-up of playful parenting program. The adventure started in 2015, and since then we've been able to influence a lot of policy environments, as Jay mentioned, in favor of early childhood development, and that also has enabled us to build strong foundations for children and enhance caregivers' capacity to provide playful parenting, because, as already highlighted, the children cannot look or consider in the vacuum. We also need to look at their family, community environment to support them and ensure that they thrive. There's been many learning and findings from these partnerships, and you have actually taken them very seriously and considered them in our UNICEF Vision for Early Childhood Development that we published in 2023. And basically in that vision, what we did was really highlight the fact that for us, development in early childhood is an organization-wide framework, but also an organization priority. And in order to be able to reach more children, we are positioned early childhood development as an outcome, right, to which all sectors can contribute. And that also means that we all have a responsibility to ensure that parents and caregivers also thrive, are able to take care of their own well-being in order to be able to engage with their children and ensure that they develop well. Now, coming back to the Playful Parenting Program, we are almost at the end of the second phase. The objective, the initial goal was really to accelerate scale-up of culturally relevant parenting interventions that supports responsive care and learning through play. But we also wanted to engage or increase global knowledge and buy-in for playful parenting. And I would say that we really achieved that. And at last but not least, also bolster primary caregivers' engagement in playful parenting with the young children during the early years. The program has been implemented with a number of local and global partners. Of course, we cannot, as an organization, do it on our own. We do need to work with others in order to be able to achieve that. And ISSA, or the International State-by-State Association, has been a really key partners in that venture in terms of implementing the program at the national and regional level. Now, results. Since then, you can be proud to really say that together we've been able to reach 120,000 families in Serbia and Zambia, because Zambia is also another country that was part of the program. And in all these countries, in those two countries, all the families are practicing. All the families rich, of course, are practicing playful parenting with their children. And when you talk about children, we can say like more than 110,000 of them have received integrated ECD services, which is actually big because we tend to see or we're able to assess that children are receiving one element or another of the nurturing care, but having access to integrated ECD services is really important for us. So, and all the more important that we all know, we don't have to preach to convert it anymore, but we all know that having access to integrated ECD services is really laying the foundation, strong foundation for children's optimal growth and development. And this is, an evidence-based predictor and pointer towards good education outcomes in school, but also better citizenship in society and improve productivity in adulthood. Another thing that we need to highlight is the fact that the program is being implemented, not staying at the national level, but also go to the subnational levels and systems so that we can ensure ownership and sustainability. So in Serbia, for example, the program has been coordinated and monitored through the Institute of Public Health. And what happened was that we trained nurses so that they could provide playful parenting services to parents through home visits. And we can be proud to say that in Europe and Central Asia, Serbia is now a champion for playful parenting in the region, but also beyond. And the interesting thing, of course, I would say that it makes sense when you hear about the title or the name of the program that families are put at the center. But the good thing about that is also, giving us the ability to look beyond, the engagement, the playful engagement between the parents and the children, really that how do you also address the needs of the parents? Like how do you address their mental health? Because as somebody said on the whiteboard, it can be stressful to be a parent, it can be challenging. So how do we give the parents, the tool to be able to assess their own emotional well-being? And in order to be able to do that, we partnered another partner with the University of Witwatersrand so that we could develop what we call the Caring for the Caregiver package, which is complementing the work that we have been doing so that parents can receive counseling through various sectoral platforms, health education, child protection, whatever is an entry point can be used, and so that they can also better take care of themselves first, but also their children. And this has been this approach, the CFC approach, has been validated in more than I think seven pilot countries, and then now we extended it to other regions, including the Latin America region. Now, at the global level and regional levels, a lot of things also have been achieved. We have for example, the Future Parenting Program series that has provided a very, very solid evidence-based foundation for the development of the online field-facing parenting toolkit that we're currently developing and hoping to be able to put live by the end of October, I believe. And we also have the Global Parenting Report that we are working on, and that report is also going to give a comprehensive and global view on the landscape of support to parents of young children. And this is, again, highlighting the important element of that. It's like not just it being a pilot, but really it influencing policy frameworks, services, and parenting programs. We, of course, I think it's important to highlight the really important collaboration with various networks, ISSA, of course, the African Early Childhood Network, the African Development Network, and really the achievements would not have been possible without all these all this organization. And what we really have, been able, or what you have enabled us to do was really like, share evidence, knowledge, best practices, bringing us together to those webinars, those, learning experience, exchanging notes. What did you do? How did it work? How did it not work? So really building on all this. But just, let me close with one big figure that we all need to, keep in mind, two of them. The first one is that, we can say that through advocacy, we have been able to reach 4.5 billion people through campaigns on parenting, during Parenting Month, during the Early Moments Matter campaign. And now, through the Parenting Hub, we've been able to reach like close to 20 million people globally. So yeah, just to say that, in short, the program has reached many, many, many lives, impacted many, many people, many children, caregivers, influenced global, regional, national, subnational, ECD agendas, government systems. So yeah, so it's important today. Let us spend the time, exchange notes. I know you are going to be engaged in a very specific conversations, but let's really think about how we can build on the achievements so far, and whatever we have already invested in is not lost, but really elevated and further disseminated. So thank you so much. I'm going to stop here. I'm going to stay as long as I can, but at some point you just notice that I've disappeared. But thank you for having me. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Irina, for this very informative presentation. I've heard many, many, many important aspects of it. I heard the power of networks. By being together as networks, we drive this work forward, and very inspiring to hear about the numbers that you reach. As you said, it's the integrated services together coupled with advocacy. So it's not an easy job, I can hear. And you mentioned something that probably we will come back, that the well-being of parents, caring, because we know we're facing globally as care policy problems in also in Europe and in the other parts of the globe. So I think you gave us a lot of food for thought how to carry this work forward. Thank you so much, Irina. I'm following this line from national to local, having the local and national ties, and it's very important at the country level to dive deep a little bit in Serbia. And I would like to invite Sonia Vuyin. Excuse me if I'm saying your name wrong, but she's the project manager in Playful Parenting Program at Standing Conference of Towns and Municipalities in Serbia. And she's going to talk about system perspective on playful parenting, ensuring systemic change from local level to country level and scaling up efforts. And can I see Sonia? You can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes,
yeah.
perfect.
Hello.
For a moment,
Yes.
I couldn't see you there. Sorry. Yes, please, the floor is yours. Thank you for being here again.
Thank you so much for the nice introduction and for giving us an opportunity to share our results and the lessons we learned in the past 5 years with such a diverse audience. It's really a great honor for me. As most of you might be thinking why ISSA actually decided to invite us to this workshop, considering that we are an organization that represents, we're actually an association of all towns and municipalities in Serbia, and thus are not really an organization of professionals or experts coming from a health or social welfare or education sector. I hope that my presentation will actually give you a valid answer to those questions. But as you heard from our previous speakers, Serbia was one of the countries that in the past 5 years, since 2019, with the coordination of UNICEF Serbia and financial support of LEGO Foundation, started implementing a playful parenting program. And we pretty much encompassed around 20% of the whole Serbia as a region. As you all know, in 2019, and as you all remember, COVID pandemic brought a halt to most of the programs, initiatives, and even our lives. But I have to say that this program started just at the right time for Serbia. Why do I say this? It's mostly because COVID pandemic has shown us that there is a time and a place that actually every family gets vulnerable and needs systematic support. And playful parenting gave us a new framework within which we can act, and gave us actually an opportunity to think about the new policies and services that would provide better assistance for each and every family. Now, this is pretty much where our role as an association of all local self-governments became very important. As you all know, services are provided at the local level, at the institutions within our communities. Consequently, it is our great responsibility of our local decision makers and politicians to make sure that all necessary services are provided and funded through local budgets. From the get-go, we knew that if we would just build capacities of practitioners through mentoring, supervision, trainings, whilst we have decision makers, and that's, I mean, management of institutions and policymakers, who are not aware of enormous resource that we have created within our professional networks, that we are missing out on this huge potential to improve, expand, and innovate our services. So our role was actually to bring together decision makers and professionals on the local level and provide a platform that would create, enforce, and monitor implementation of programs and services that are relevant to all our parents and children. So how did we do that? First of all, we have adapted the nurturing care framework to our national context and decided to establish multi-sectoral working bodies that are advising bodies to the city councils. That means politicians that are in charge of adopting all the new local policies and local budgets. This body would gather management from health centers, preschools, social welfare centers, civil sector, and of course, parental organizations. The presiding member of the body would be a mayor, and coordination of this mechanism would be in the hands of local self-government. But what we also did was advise every local self-government to select deputy members of these bodies from the line of professionals in these institutions that will also attend these meetings. And that is how our journey began, and we started creating this synergy between professionals and policymakers. Then we started the hard work of doing the in-depth analysis and, of course, of everything that local governments provide to the families and children, through analyzing all policies, programs in health, social welfare, and preschool education. And we also looked at their budgets and the allocation of funds within every LSG for all those measures and services. Based on these analyses that contained real and fresh data, which in Serbia sometimes can prove a bit problematic, we have entered into a phase of a joint planning and programming of the new measures, and we also worked on the improvement of the already existing ones. And that process for us was actually, looking at that process was actually really fascinating, because we finally looked at all the relevant sectors sitting together, looking at their problems, starting planning together new things, learning how to prioritize things that are important in their local communities. Because as you know, funds of all governments are limited. So together we have to make good decisions based on the data, and also learn how to see if as sectors we are actually providing similar services to one families. And then we would have situations, for example, where we would spend resources through two sectors. We are doing interventions in one family when we actually sat together and realized that it's with better coordination and the integration of these services, we could actually provide much better service to that family. We can save resources, and we can also then get a better reach and greater impact in the whole community. So it was very important that those policymakers and professionals started speaking the same language. They started understanding what are the needs, of their local communities. They started understanding each other, and that it's not very easy managing all the money and funds that are limited, and then the needs are growing each and every day. And also they started sharing and talking about the problems and challenges, while at the same time working as a team. And we realized that is actually a real formula for creating a safer, better, thriving environment for every family. I have to say that one of the most popular new measures in Serbia, and we actually had over 100 new measures that are being actually implemented as we speak right now in 34 municipalities in Serbia, turned out to be a multi-sectoral parenting school that gathered professionals from all three fields, which means health, social welfare, and preschool education. Development of the program was supported by our Institute for Public Health that was mentioned by our previous speakers. And this turned out to be the measure that actually was needed in most of the municipalities. Needs assessment gave us these needs assessment showed this, that in most communities it has proven that parenting schools should expand their curriculum, not just covering issues of health, but covering other areas as well. So parents told us that sometimes they needed the support from a social worker, or sometimes they needed some information about preschool education, for example, integration of a child in a new preschool setting. You know, and you work in the field, parents tend to be overwhelmed because of their full workloads or a lack of support network, especially in urban areas. Thus, they do not have time to go from one institution to another looking for assistance, often even not knowing who to turn to. Thus, coming to our parenting school, they would get all the support they need from all three sectors. Also, we were not just guessing which topics we would want to be addressed in these parenting schools. Parents were asked which issues they think we should discuss at the workshops, what kind of assistance they need, and we included those in the creation of the school work plans, thus ensuring their full participation. Also, it was very important to engage parents even further. And we actually, together with UNICEF, created a very useful tool, which turned out to be very valuable even for some other topics. And that is called communication strategy. And we created a document, which we looked at it turned out to be a two-way street. We thought about what were the information that we would like to share and disseminate to a community, and also what kind of inputs we need to get from that community. So we mapped out important local actors, avenues, messages we would like to send, and financed events during Parenting Month to engage parents and children together and to actually disseminate all these important messages, but also use this to ask them questions that we needed to know the answers to in order to be able to provide better services for them. And those manifestations were covered by all local media, national media, and many local communities are actually even now decided to finance these campaigns during the Parenting Month, even after this project. And you will see I jumped over one previous topic that you see on the slide, which is very important. And for us as project managers, we are always trying to achieve sustainability, which is probably one of the hardest goals of every program. For us, we approach this goal twofold. First, we are advocating and lobbying with decision makers to allocate funds within their budgets for the new measures that this body, the body that was advising City Council, was preparing. And we were actually very successful at that. But then we went a step further and looked for the ways to integrate our new measures into local strategic and sectoral programs and plans. And I have to tell you, do you know why this step is so important? Because budgets of every local self-government are adopted for 1 year, with projections for another 2 years. But all the strategic and sectoral public policies are adopted for a much longer period, 5 to 10 years. At least that is how it is in Serbia. And that gave us double certainty that our programs are going to be fully integrated in the local systems, and therefore our services will be provided to the local communities even after this project is over. At the end, we signed protocols of cooperation between institutions from 3 sectors and also local self-government, ensuring that this multi-sectoral cooperation continues, and also reaffirming their commitment to expanding scope of integrated services and measures. But these protocols also covered some other things, like exchange of data, sharing the expertise, know-how, doing study visits together, and so forth. And at the end, we also contributed to enhancing capacities of over 1,400 professionals, including people that are employed at the local self-government, by organizing numerous workshops on the topic that were important for their work. And I'm also so glad that today is one of our trainers, Milos, who was part of our team. And we together are so proud of the success that his training had, because it actually touched upon a topic that we will all discuss. And I'm saying right away, Milos, I'm joining your group so we can go further into the issues of communication, improving communication with parents, because that was one of the topics that Milos was actually trainer at one of our, at actually 6 of our workshops, not just 1. Although a lot has been achieved in the past 5 years and we are very busy, we have put all this together in one manual, and that will provide know-how to our local self-governments, but they still need our support for a lot of these steps to be implemented correctly. That means there is still a lot of work to do in Serbia, although we are hearing now that we are one of the countries that is actually champion in playful parenting, and I'm really honored by that. But as I said, playful parenting program, at least in Serbia, was very high in demand. We have only covered 20% of all local self-governments in Serbia. And now I think that we found a formula of success for Serbian municipalities through playful parenting program. It is our duty to scale up this knowledge to the rest of Serbia, and I think even through the region. I hope that together with UNICEF and Lego Foundation and our other partners, we can continue creating more safe, secure, and thriving local communities for all our children in Serbia and actually in the whole world. Thank you so much for your time. I hope I didn't go too long. I really tried to fit in these 15 minutes.
Sonia, thank you so much. I think I wish we had more time so that we could go much deeper. I want to first congratulate you for this huge work with everybody who's been part of it. And when you were giving us information, and every moment I was like, this is a very important step. This is a building block. This is it. So there's a huge work to be acknowledged. First of all, congratulations. And you said something very important about bringing the sectors, which is, I think, a lot of people's questions, how to bring together the sectors, because it has been one of the biggest challenges for many countries. I hope we will have more time towards in the breakout sessions and at the end as well. And I would like to now give the floor to Alyosha. He will explain us how we will move forward with the breakout rooms to dive more in deep to the discussions.
Thank you, Aisha. Yeah, and thank you, Sonia, for this overview. It was really amazingly built, and I was just following and making some notes to which we will definitely refer at the end in the closing panel. You know, the numbers like 100 measures, 34 municipalities, all the sectors speaking the same language, communication strategy. There are so many points, and I do see that in Q&A chat, we do have one question from Nancy, which is addressed to you, but I think that this question, either we answer it by typing it, so if participants have any questions, feel free to ask questions in the chat and we can also answer them. But I think that in the small group discussions, Nancy, you will get an answer in the first group from Sonia's colleague, Ksenia. She will be talking about this, so you will get a hint. So I'm just hinting that perhaps you should join then, Nancy, the first group. And now, while I'm talking about those groups, let me share the screen so that I'll show you how those groups will look like. So I was talking about some magic earlier. Well, it's basically that you will have to choose into which group, small group, you would like to go. So we have prepared 3 thematic groups. The first one will be on playful parenting implementation research that will be facilitated by Ksenia Krstic, FHI 360 local consultant for Serbia. And then in the second group, you will have the topic about man and playful parenting. This will be facilitated by ISSA together with Heinrich. It's very hard for me, Heinrich, to pronounce your surname, so I apologize, but you will make sure that in the small group you highlight it how it is pronounced. Sorry for that. And then we have the last one with facilitator Miloš Zorica. And as it was already mentioned, so this third group will focus on supporting professionals. So we will be talking about capacity building, about communicating, and the magic of communication. So we will have roughly like 30 minutes in total in the small group discussions. And we will be mapping out after the master presentations of 10 minutes that each of the facilitators will have on the particular topic. Then you will engage in a discussion about the existing knowledge gaps, the pending actions that are needed in that area, and what could be some effective strategies and solutions for our future pathways for playful parenting in general. So we will also have note takers. Our wonderful comms colleagues will be taking notes. And now I think we are almost ready to press the button, which will now enable you to select group 1, 2, or 3. So let us see. Breakout rooms. The time is set. I'm now opening the groups. So it should now be open to you, popping up on the screen. So select the options. So the implementation research group 1, man and playful parenting group 2, and supporting professionals group 3. Welcome back, everyone. So all of a sudden we were kicked out from the small group discussions. I hope you got the message that we had to extend the time. So no matter how much we plan the timing, we always go beyond the planned schedule. But now we won't do the usual reporting from small groups as we planned it in advance, but we will straight away start with the closing panel. So, and then combine the reflection reporting from small groups as well with the closing panel to reflect a bit on the small group discussions, while our comms colleagues in the background will be busy with consolidating your notes from each group. And then at a certain point, they will come and share the screen with us to see, you know, what are those future pathways? So what are still the pending actions and solutions? So just to inform our future more. So here I'll start with Aicha. So perhaps you can start giving some key insights from your group very briefly.
Yes, we can. Just give me one moment to go over the notes. Um, Yes, thanks to with my comms colleague, dear colleague Jen's help, we managed to gather some notes. We talked about, as you know, how to engage men in caregiving, responsive caregiving, and playful parenting. And it was we were a small group, but we realized that we have a lot of challenges on the way. So we realized that the knowledge gaps is that most of the time fathers drop out from programs. So this is something that's a challenge and knowledge gap. The most important thing to understand it also is to different cultural differences, their understandings in local contexts, because some strategies work in some contexts, some strategies don't. One of our participants give information from their own context about what about non-nuclear families, what about the dad is absent, what we do if the dad is further away, how do we engage them into building this connection with their information on that. And we talked about immigrant context as well. For example, in South Africa, she said many children are far from their fathers. This brings a challenge. But in Europe, for example, our advocacy goes around more like the nuclear family when the father is present. So there are big challenges globally to understand how we can address different realities of men and fathers. And of course, there are a lot of experiences of men. They're under stress, under these roles. We need to understand what kind of stresses they're going through to completely have them on board. And sometimes they're having barriers about, cultural, social, structural. For example, in Naples, we talked about our project, Engaging Men in Nurturing Care, where our partners in Italy, CSP, and for e-parent project, they're seeing even the fathers are not taking up the 10-day paternity leave to be with their children. So cultural norms are definitely. So going forward, not to lose too much time, what are the pending actions? We need paternity leave policies. We need definitely to address the biases in service. For example, in services are still directing to mothers, the language, the environment. There's a lot of work to be done to become inclusive and to be integrated. Can you hear me? My internet is unstable.
It's fine.
Oh,
No,
okay.
it's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, but
And we need more. Yes, to go for it. So for the solutions, we were talking about different solutions, local context. Sometimes targeted fatherhood groups work, sometimes family approaches work. So it's really important to understand the local context. And one-on-one services really work for fathers. And most of our, participants talked about birth preparation groups when beginning from the birth. So involving fathers very early and sustaining it throughout the child's life. So we can come back to it. Sorry, I hope it's a good summary.
Great.
Yes.
I'm just finding a link because Ksenia in our first group, when we talked about the implementation research, she mentioned also when they were doing the focus groups with families, there was a question on fathers. So perhaps you could elaborate on this, Ksenia, and perhaps share some few highlights from our group.
Yes, so regarding father engagement, we have our findings are very in line with what you, Aisha, explained. So we have, let's start from very strong social norms regarding the role of the father and what means to be a father at certain age of the child. So they see their role more active as a child grows. So when the child is, the main activity that fathers see themselves in with their children is running with the ball, outside the home and something like that. So when it's up to early childcare, so it's like defined to be activity which is for mothers. So mothers are those who should care about the child in early months, and the role of the father in that period is to support mothers. financially and emotionally, but to support mothers while she care care about the child. So besides those still strong social norms or expectations, or knowledge, transgenerational knowledge, so modern families are changing, improving. So we see more and more fathers engaged in childcare. So like they recognize that they can bath the child, that they can play or feed the child, or even prepare the meal. So it is changing. And we also, from implementation research, we saw that depends on different family factors, from education, socioeconomic status of the family. Because of course, if the father is absent the whole day, then he cannot, he just don't have enough time to spend with the child. To follow up with our notes from our group, but can I ask Maya to share those, because I
can. Maya is now in
or
the
you
background
can
doing
okay, so
a
if
recap.
you can, yeah, okay.
But perhaps, we can just say a few words from our group, because anyway, we will now do the consolidated version. So for me, like the takeaway, it's the part that I also mentioned, is like because we had quite several hard questions for Ksenia. So we put her on a spotlight, to answer, but then it was also the way of brainstorming and thinking together. Also, like, rethinking the research, the way how we research, how we approach the research, because, perhaps this is also some part that we can, Ksenia, say a few words on it, because there are some challenges out there.
Yes, so I mentioned in my presentation that one of the weaknesses of implementation research is actually that it's not well defined, and not methodologically strict or rigid enough. So different researchers, different design of implementation research are possible, and they will all get different results. So there are some barriers with every research, and for me as a researcher, that's the key question: how to overcome those, like, research, no matter if it's implementational or any other kind of research. So we still struggle with defining key variables we want to measure. So how to evaluate some outcomes, how to actually measure the effects of the program, especially when it's happening in the real life. So it's not in a laboratory, it's not with a small experimental group of people or families. So it's happening through the system, through the families living their real life in Serbia. Also, we mentioned some difficulties in conducting the research itself. So how to reach families, how to find the families who actually receive the new service from the patronage nurses and things like that. So any other, so I'm lost again in my
no, but it's like there is really a lot. I think this, like, we really brought topics into perspective of today's world and today's society, that today's changing societies, from politics to social norms to you name it. And I think it's a whole day workshop, basically, an in-person one, where we could really continue even around lunch, drinks, it's like really an ongoing conversation. And now I would like to hear also from Milos. So how it went in your group, what was the main highlight of your group, let's say?
We were chatting about communication. So we came up with this idea that ever-changing contexts, like for me now, I have a group where majority of parents are millennials, so it is very puzzling. and very demanding from my perspective. And from perspective of support of parents, we were discussing about importance that they know how to convey a message, they know how to convince parents and to work with them on strengthening competencies to be parent and competencies to be a teacher who is leading that process, not from the role of solely expert, but somebody who knows a bit better, a bit, I don't know, we have some, I know, professional focus. Challenging is also to communicate different difficult messages. We were touching the topics of screen time, about engaging parents in uh, parenting, and not to solve everything with one specialist after another. So from my perspective, children go to kindergarten, then they go to speech therapists, then they go to training or some motor skills exercises, then they go to playroom, and then they go to sleep. And this is something that we need to address. This is something that we need to change, but not to judge parents, not to, I don't know, drag them in a well which they cannot live alone, but to be partners and to work together to solve this issue and to push this thing a little bit further.
Great, thank you, Milos. So I'll share now the screen with an overview. So there was some magic happening behind the scene with our wonderful communications team. So to bring all those three groups together, and then I'll invite Jill and Boniface to join me so that we together jointly look at those this slide and see how do we move forward from here. So let's see. I hope you can see it.
Not yet. Yes.
Yes. So here we have now. So we have the knowledge gaps that are being identified across the three topics and pending actions. So take your time and read them, and then we can reflect. And Boniface or Jill, if there is any surprising thing that you wouldn't expect it to be as mapped out, feel free to comment, reflect, or share your insights from the groups you were in.
Maybe we can open to everyone what catches your eye, your attention the first, and what to prioritize from your context and experience. For example, fostering mental health support, maybe, for me. That issue comes back and back all the time. And actually, I liked, Milos, you said ever-changing context. I think this is the reality of many young parents right now. It's huge and stressful, really, for all of us. And raising a child in ever-changing context is really something we need to be careful about.
Yeah, I'm also looking at those pending actions, like strengthening capacity of teachers and parents through tailored support and ongoing monitoring.
Yeah.
The diverse family structures as well. So let's say, how could this inform our future pathway of playful parenting? So we've came quite far in general with the program, with the, also the concept of playful parenting being in a discourse in so many places. But how do we move on from here? So definitely I think we at UNICEF, at LEGO, at ISSA, and all other regional networks, we are staying committed in promoting playful parenting, parents' involvement, etc. But also like those lessons learned from, let's say, the pilots are also very, very strong. They carry a strong message, like Sonia was mentioning, the whole system approach.
Yeah.
Mhm. Let's
Boniface.
hear if Boniface, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Ariosa. Just to also add on what you're saying, you know, the whole system approach, I would even add, you know, going forward, something that we need to celebrate is also the power of the networks. So in this case, ISSA and other networks involved, that's something that I think we need to embrace going forward. It's not coming out in this slide, but I think it's worth mentioning. And it's good, I think, for me also to mention in the presence of everybody in this, you know, webinar, you have done a tremendous, you know, job. And I think that kind of convening and creating a platform is something that I think it goes together with the system-wide approach. And also specific for Serbia, what I can also highlight, you saw, you know, in the area presentations, not working with the government, but within the government system. There's a difference between working with government and working within the government system. So what we have seen in Serbia is not like it was a program that just came and said we are here to do, you know, brave parenting, but from the start having government on board and government leadership. That's why you see now even the financing that is coming with it, it's because it's embedded within that. It's not detached from the routines, you know, in country. So I think that message, colleagues, you know, on the core is something that we need to consider. And lastly, I would also highlight parenting, considering parents not as beneficiaries, but as part of, you know, the process itself. Because sometimes we position parents and children as beneficiaries. They are not.
Exactly.
Brave parenting means they are part of that. So nothing external, but ensuring that they are core in the business. And that's where now you see that there's ownership also from that flank. And that's what you have seen in Serbia and other countries that we're implementing the program. So I think those are the kind of things, and I can stop by saying we have a prototype, we have a package, which we have seen, you know, I think from the evidence that has been shared. So allow me to stop there. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Boniface. Yeah, and I very much agree, you know, with what you've been saying. And I do recall that Sonia was mentioning this advocating and lobbying that also played the crucial role in, in strengthening the existing system, basically. You know, just making it more comprehensive, more connected. And this is also where we see our role at ISSA as a regional network. It's also, you know, advocating for this cross-sectoral collaboration, you know, that a child, a family, or early childhood or playful parenting doesn't belong only to one sector, you know. It's something that is shared across the sectors. And I think this learning from Serbia is something that gives us, you know, a support that, you know, this is the way how we should approach it. You know, this is the model that we can learn from or build on. And now I would like to hear from Jill. What do you think? How it was for you to be, let's say, in this diverse crowd of conversations and reflections?
Well, I feel really optimistic about the strategies and solutions. And I think, you know, coupled with the knowledge gaps, I think, you know, this was, you know, a first step in terms of, you know, sharing this knowledge and giving an example of what this could look like, and sharing different strategies and things that are working and not working, different challenges we're having. But I would really encourage us to think, what do we do after this call in terms of progressing some of these strategies and taking them forward. I'm also really curious about, and maybe this is an offline discussion, about the over-reliance on digital and professionals. I just wondered if that meant that we focus too much on digital solutions and professionals versus really having more knowledge about how teachers, I'm assuming that's ECD teachers maybe, and caregivers sort of impact the family. I'm not sure. But otherwise, I think this is like really great and a great start to a conversation about some of these strategies and solutions.
Great. Yeah. Well, I think we all share the same feeling that it's a good starting point to steer the discussion from here onwards about those future pathways, and also perhaps involving more stakeholders, even more donors, let's say, to bring them on board to think along the same lines. So how do we move from here to the future? Because in a way, yeah, future might see, depending on from which perspective you are looking at the future and with what kind of a mood, but yeah, to a certain extent can be a bit yeah, either concerning, either scary, either challenging, either, you know, too fast, demanding, growing, etc. But I think with connections that we have, in a way, as peers, as collaborators, as, let's say, thinkers, reflectors, or however we would like to call ourselves, I think we do have the capacity to move things forward. So any other, like, I'm looking at the time, so we have like 3 more minutes. Amazing how fast those two hours went by. But yeah, if there are any reflections, I don't know, Heinrich, how was for you to be co-facilitator with Aicha?
Yeah, it was a fantastic experience, and there was so much knowledge and experience in the room that we could share with the other participants. So I really learned a lot. Was thankful for the experience.
Amazing. And we also have Dilara with us. Any reflection? Which group were you in?
I was in the third group, the supporting professionals.
Okay.
So it was really good to hear from the field itself, from Serbia and the colleagues too. But overall, grateful for the workshop today, all of the presenters. It has been a great experience. So thank you for organizing all of the ISSA colleagues as well for all the work that goes in the background.
Well, thank you for supporting us, and thank to all of you, to Jill, Sonia, Heinrich, Milos, Dilara to you, Boniface to you, Xenia, Vanessa, Aicha, Jennifer, all of you who registered and showed up here and stayed with us until the very last minute of this workshop. It was really amazing, and we very much look forward to continue the discussion. So there is one more thing that will follow as a follow-up of this workshop. It will be a workshop brief. So whatever we discussed, we will put in the context of the topics that were presented today, discussed. We will make presentations available. And yeah, we very much welcome you on our website under the initiatives. And one of my colleagues can share in the chat. You will find the initiative page of Scaling Up the Playful Parenting. There you can access all the resources we managed together over these 5 years when this implementation was going on, and definitely will continue to tell the story about playful parenting. And now, take a good care of yourself and do something nice for yourself, something playful. Cheer up your afternoon, morning, or evening, whatever the time zone you are in. Thank you all for being here. And thank you, Aicha, for struggling with me as a co-facilitator. It was a pleasure.
I wanted to say thank you too, Alyosha, guiding this whole conversation about this, and hope to see you in further future events. Thank you all for contributing. Please have a look at the chat before you go, and hope to see you in the future. Have a playful day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Milos. Bye.
Lots
Bye,
again.
Heinrich.
Bye.
Bye.